All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're working with today. My little IKEA cabinet, and this thing has got to be cleaned out. We got a big problem with spider mites. So I'm gonna have to take out my plants, spray them, which takes a pretty long time. By the way though, before we get into it, look at my Gloriosum's newest leaf. It's finally looking like a Gloriosum, like a huge Gloriosum. So I need to spray it. It has spider mites. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, a lot of plants have spider mites and I haven't treated them in a long time. Okay, so I'm gonna empty it, take my plants outside so that I could spray them down, and we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, so there's aerial roots everywhere. I had to pull these out. They're still attached to this tray. And the aerial roots were stuck inside of my Basilta picana. And this is my skeleton key growing up there. So I think I'm gonna cut it off. I got it out. Poor little aerial roots, I just ripped them off. This shape is why it's called a skeleton key. That's so nice. When you stake your plants, they start growing up well. Look at that. Skeleton key. Here we have everything outside, and I brought a bunch of supplies out here because there needs to be repotting done and there needs to be a lot of neem spraying done. The plants that are most affected by the spider mites, no surprise here, we have the alocasias. They got this one really bad. I wasn't even expecting this. I knew it had spider mites, but I never really looked at it, but I didn't even need to really look at it. It's just so bad and so apparent. This one has it slightly. It's still not good. Look at this beautiful leaf though. Wow, it's so big compared to all the others. This one, I don't think it actively has spider mites, but it does have some signs of spider mites. And then this guy is just doing very poorly. And there's my tripod. So I'm gonna try and revive this one. My frydek is always off and on with how good it's doing. And then everything else, I need to separate to make this more feasible. Okay, so I have a ton of micans that all need to be potted together. So these are all together. This needs to be potted with this. We need to remove this alocasia, wherever it came from, and combine these two jade scindapsus. I think that's all that needs to be separated. Okay, let me show you what we're doing. I'm gonna be watering using this fungicide, and pretty much this just helps the microbiome in the soil, I guess. And I do everything by what this says on it. So yeah, it works really well on helping my plants thrive. I like it. And I'm gonna be mixing it with, I have distilled water, because when I water my plants, I usually put them in a tub like this, or I leave them in their tray, and I'll water them enough for the tray to fill up, and then it'll soak the rest of the tray up, and that's how I'll water. So I don't often bring my plants to a sink or to somewhere where their water can drain. So that could be a reason some of the roots are being harmed in some of my plants that don't look the best, such as my Gloriosum. And so this is probably just gonna help them perk back up. So I'm gonna combine these, whatever the directions say on this. And then I have this Mite, which I use when spider mites get too bad, like when there's an active growth or an active population of spider mites, because usually I'll just use my little neem spray that I make myself as a preventative. But when I want to get rid of them, I gotta go hard. And then for my orchids, I'm just gonna spray them with this. I also have their little orchid food, which I make with this Repot Me fertilizer. I'm just using it to water my orchids, so it might be overkill to use this as well, but whatever. Nothing bad has happened yet. And I just do 1 tablespoon of this per gallon. I think this is a gallon of water, and I'll just use like sink water for this. Nothing special. What I'm gonna start off with is spraying the spider mites away, cleaning it very, very thoroughly as possible. I'm gonna set aside my frydek because that needs more than just spider mite spray. Usually when I spray with neem oil, I don't like to put my face this close to the splash zone because it smells really bad, but it's all gonna be for the video. I have this napkin, paper towel, it's a paper towel, and what I like to do is if there's not like an active infestation, like on this one, I don't see there's anything active, I just spray the paper towel and then I'll go in and I'll just rub the leaves. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll rinse off, like if there's only 1 plant or 2, like not like a whole bunch like I have right now, then I'll just go under my sink, rinse. I'm pretty sure I've showed you guys before, but I'll rinse them off with water and then I'll spray them down. That's it, let it dry. And then I always say this, but be careful after using neem oil because it does sensitize your plants to the sun. So I'm gonna continue on with plants that aren't actively infested, and then the last ones I'm gonna treat are the for sure infested ones. I hope you can hear me because there's like 2 water fountains around. They're very loud. Oh, this leaf just broke off. Okay. This thing is kind of growing weird, like it's stuck. I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of stuck within itself. So I don't mind that that just happened, but I hope that it can right itself. Hopefully that helped it right itself. And I have been looking at plants to buy. I did get some more orchids, which is not a shock, but I've been looking at like actual houseplants to buy. And I really want to go to like a plant swap or something. I would love to like switch plants with people online. I don't even know if there's any plant swaps around here. If I'm wrong and you live in LA and I'm missing out on some plant shop or something, please let me know. So this is my Milano Chrysum cuttings. There's 3 of them in here. I want to separate them, and this is like why I got like thinking about how I want to be like do plant swaps or whatever, because I was watching a video and the guy was like, oh yeah, I found this lady on OfferUp and I buy all my orchids from her now, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I went on OfferUp and I was looking on there. I was kind of shocked because plant prices, like at least since the last time I looked, because I haven't been looking at all, like I am not browsing for plants like ever, and I was kind of shocked because like since the last time that I looked at plants, the prices kind of remained the same, or they may have even gone up a little bit, I'm not sure. But like for Albo Monsteras, they're going for like a 1-leaf cutting like $200, and I was very shocked to see that the price hasn't decreased, seeing like as how there's so many Albo Monsteras. And I was like, you know what, if I want to plant, like maybe I could trade some cuttings that I don't want, because I have a really, I don't know if it's a bad habit, it's a bad habit. I have a really bad habit of propagating my plants. I don't have space for like new plants, and I don't like having duplicate plants. And I keep on propagating my plants because I love chopping them, because I like having smaller size plants. So I have like a bunch of Milano Chrysum cuttings, Veracosum cuttings, like I have way too many micans cuttings, as you saw. I need to combine them all. And even this guy, like my variegated Cebu Blue, I have so many freaking cuttings, and I was like, maybe I should trade these cuttings to get other plants, but I don't know. This plant does have a few yellow leaves. I'm gonna take them off. They don't need to be taken off, but I'm going to because I don't want to clean them. And this plant, what I've been doing is as it grows, I'll like stake its vines back into the soil so you can see they're pinned in there. And what my goal is to be able to have nodes root cut in between the nodes so that I'll have separate plants, and hopefully that will make it very bushy and nice. And this plant, I got it as, I think it was one vine, and I have made it into this huge tangly mess. I feel like I could have handled it a lot better, but it's doing pretty good. Like the new growths that were able to grow up the edges of my cabinet, they look a lot better. They kind of have like fenestrations on them, so I think it's pretty cool. A lot of my plants kind of have that speckled yellowing, which I am interpreting as having too much buildup, like mineral buildup in the soil. So that's why we're using the distilled water today. This is my Melanochrysum that was growing really close to the light, and I was saying how it's probably gonna look funky because it's too close to the light. And lo and behold, it burned. The top leaf burned, and the new leaf coming out burned. So needless to say, I have the urge to chop down this plant again. It's been chopped down so many times, but instead of having a big luscious plant, I have like this psycho looking plant and a bunch of cuttings, propagations everywhere. So I think I'm gonna cut it, but I really want a huge luscious plant, so I need to figure my life out. I think that if I do want the luscious plant, I need to give it like an actual stake. So that's what I'll do. I always restart them because it annoys me when there's one leaf missing. So there's one leaf missing here, and there's about to be another leaf missing up here. So I really want to chop it down right here. I'm thinking of maybe air layering it on this plant. That's getting stuck thing happened too. And I was gonna help free it, but it broke. So I didn't try. I guess I'll do it now. So I finished wiping down all of the leaves, and now I'm just going in with a really good spray just in case there's anything that I left over. And this stuff really smells, so never do this unless you're doing it outside or in your bathtub. I cannot stress that enough because until I used it, I did not know that it was so gross. This spray is a lot better than actual neem oil, but just in case. I'm using the mist setting just to blow off any spider mites, their webs. There was a lot of webs you probably saw. So just blowing all of that off. Okay, so I have my distilled water here. You don't need to use distilled water if you ever use this. I'm just using it. So I'm putting 1 teaspoon of this into this gallon, hopefully without spilling. It's also really like helpful that it's already measured out in a gallon. You know, like you don't need to measure anything out. You just boop, plop a teaspoon of that into here. So even if you buy like filtered water or something, but I really like the distilled water. And then you just shake it up and you got your mix. So when I water my plants, I'm gonna water them just enough so that it wets the root ball. And then we're not going overboard on this, like we're not wasting this stuff. It's much cooler out now and the sun is gone. It's actually a little bit chilly. I waited too long. Everything is dry pretty much. All of these are dry. I moved the orchids up here. By the way, this orchid is about to bloom. I think it's gonna be white. And it was living in that cabinet, but I just brought it out literally today. Speaking of blooms, this is my Hoya. The little flowers, they didn't bloom yet, but they'll get there one day. I've been waiting. Every day I come and look at it. I'm so excited. But back to business. I'm gonna repot this into this, which is a part of my self-watering pot that I got from Urban Outfitters. We'll talk about that as I repot. But I don't know where the rest of my little oil things are, so I need to empty this before I can repot. By the way, I bought these little tags on Amazon for my unlabeled orchids, but I knew their names. And I love them so much. I just attached it and you can't even see it when it's hanging, but I don't have to keep looking up the freaking name every time I want to know. So I think it's so cute. And I'll link the labels down in case you want them. I don't really use them for plants because I know what all my plant names are. I just don't know all of my orchids names because their names are pretty freaking intense. They do have a little hole to hang them, but this one, like if you want to stick it in, you can stick it in. So it has a little hole for hanging, or you can stick it in depending on what you're doing with your, I guess, orchids. I don't know. Do you have labels on your plants? Because I just feel like that would be so many labels. And these have been in here for a couple of hours, just giving them a good soak. And I'm gonna save this water. If you have orchids, this is like not a recommended thing to do, because if there's like one of them has a disease or something, you can pass it on from watering them with the same water. I just spilled so much of it. Oh my goodness. So I need this to mix up the soils, which I guess I'll do near my soil stuff. Sorry for this crazy camera work. This is gonna be a soil mix for my frydek. I don't remember the last time that I repotted it. I'm gonna remove the old leaves. Oh, I think you couldn't see anything I've been doing. Hold on, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry. I feel like I've been talking to myself this whole time, but I've been finding these little corms, and well, this one's pretty big. So I think I will remove all the soil just to keep finding more. Oh my gosh, this plant has so many. Okay, BRB, I'm gonna hose this. This one fell off. Just trying to find some water to drink. Usually I have water in these. Okay, so I'm gonna dump this. Hi, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Okay. And I am gonna remove the rest of these. I'm not sure if this is the way to like sprout them, but they were falling off anyway, so I'm just gonna remove them. And I'll look into how to sprout them. I'm very excited about this. I never take them off. I usually just leave them. So this is gonna be exciting and new. And I'm gonna leave this guy on here just in case. Hello. He won't even move if I lift it. Okay, well, I guess I'll collect these. This is how many we got. I think 9 or 10. Now to create the potting mix. Come on. Please get out. I need this. If I had a different one, I would let him stay. But I really need this one because I don't have another one right now. Okay. So we're starting off with peat moss. I guess some sand, just for fun. Vermiculite. charcoal for sure. I have a new bag. I think I added a lot more peat moss than I thought. And this is literally how I make like all of my mixes. I just do it by eye. Whatever I feel like will dry quickly or whatever I think the plant needs. I haven't used peat moss in a while. I usually use coco coir. So I feel like it looks dustier, if that makes any sense. So it like covers up all the other amendments, so it doesn't look as fluffy as it actually is. Or maybe it is just not as fluffy, but we're using it, so whatever. And this is a self-watering pot, so it doesn't have a drainage hole. I made videos on it earlier, like literally the end of 2021. I bought it at Urban Outfitters, but it came broken. It was really disappointing to get it, and it was broken. But then I had to replace it, so I waited months for this. And by the time it came, I was like, okay, great, it's here. And I wasn't as excited for it anymore. So it's been literally sitting in my house. I have the unboxing of it, and literally the only thing I was worried about was if it would be broken. Thank goodness it wasn't. It is a little like messed up. Like it's not the best quality control, I think is the term that I'm looking for. And this does look really peat heavy. I need to add more amendments for my other plants. I have a begonia that I have in a self-watering pot right now, and it's doing really well. At first I thought it wasn't getting watered enough, but it definitely is, so that's really good. What else do we need to repot? Oh, okay, so my micans. I want to stake them. Like I tried earlier to stake them, but it didn't work. They literally just withered away, and I had to repropagate them and bring them back to health. And now this is how it looks. So it does look very healthy, but this pot is like overflowing. I really messed up on potting it up. And then I have all of these, which are all micans propagations that I took from the one inside of my cabinet. And I want to combine them because, like, why do I have a single vine? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is happening here? Yeah, I just have a whole bunch of cuttings that I need to combine together. So that's what we're gonna do. I chose this pot. It's kind of dirty, but let me go get the trellis that I'm talking about. It's the same one I used before. The flash is on for some reason. I think it's too dark. But I found the trellises, and I was thinking of combining them like this to make it like less space for the vines to fall through. And also, while I was getting my trellises, I found my worm castings, which I forgot to put in my little pot for my frydek. So I'm gonna sprinkle them on top. I don't know how much it's gonna do since it's a self-watering pot. Without water coming on top, I don't know how effective it will be, but there we go. Okay, now for this guy. First of all, I'm gonna add some of this in here. First, let's see if the trellis will fit. It fits! Okay, let's see if both of them will fit like this. Yeah, pretty well, huh? That's how I want it. I know it's ugly, but my goal is for the plant to completely cover the trellises so you won't see them. So this is how it would look. A little uggles, but that's okay. This is gonna be very hard to do. I hope you can see everything that I do because it's gonna be crazy, I just know it. I'm gonna turn on the lights to see if that helps. So I guess I'll start on it, and then we'll finish everything else in the morning because it is getting way too dark. So I staked most of it. I know it looks very bad. We're gonna come back and look at it in the morning. But if you can see, this is where the main problem is, that I need to plant the roots deeper. But we'll get into that tomorrow. This is the aftermath of taking out all the plants. I didn't take out this one because it's kind of like integrated into the shelf. So I'm just watering it with the mixture that we made earlier. And now I can get to cleaning. I also need to clean this out. I need to separate a bunch of these plants. We'll worry about this on a different day. This is fully cleaned, and now I'm gonna ponder on which plants need to be put in here, because some plants that are in here don't need to be in here, and there are some plants that aren't in here that really need to go in here. Here is my first batch of plants that I'm keeping in here. This Hoya, it doesn't need to be in here, but it grows a lot better in here, so I want to keep it in here close to the light. So pretty. Of course, my varicosum, my melanochrysum. Oh, this is getting off-centered. Obviously my albo, which will be the first plant to set up actually. We got our first plant. And I guess that's the centerpiece that we have to abide by. When I was putting back my orchids, I accidentally broke this off. My peperomia. I'm so sad. For now, I'm gonna put it back in here and pretend everything is okay. And we're gonna continue this tomorrow. It's day 2. And now we can fully see in the sun. It doesn't look too bad. Maybe when the leaves straighten out it'll be better, but it does look thirsty. And this is where the problem is. As you can see, the roots are not in the soil completely. So maybe I'll like tug it down. I put some soil on top. And now I'm pressing it down. And that seems to be working very well. So I guess it's all right. This is the micans watered. It hasn't been like a day or anything yet, but I covered up all the roots, so it looks pretty good. Now we just gotta wait for it to orientate. I'm thinking about if I should put it inside of my cabinet so that it can orientate in there, like how my other one is, or if I should leave it outside. All I know is that it's very big. And the last time I kept this plant outside, I don't think I watered it enough, or I damaged it too much when repotting it, so I need to be more vigilant with this one. And if it does survive, it's gonna be so gorgeous. We are going to repot these now. So I'm combining this cutting with its mom plant, and same for this. You can see why I propagated it, because it lost all these bottom leaves, and I hate when plants look like that. It's why I have a huge problem with chopping. So yeah, I'm gonna combine these and we're gonna remove this alocasia who was not invited. Hopefully my little frydek bulbs grow as quickly as this little plant has, and I never gave it any help or anything because I didn't even know how it got here. But I have a mess here because I tried to clean up quickly last night because I didn't have time in the morning and I wanted to go to bed early. Same thing, I'm just gonna combine these mixtures. This wasn't potted that long ago. Oh, let's try shoving it out. Oh, worked. Very well. Look at this. Now I have to try and figure out which roots are for which plant. And getting rid of these, I'm just gonna throw them into the grass because I think they'll look cute in the grass if they decide to root, and if not, oh well. Unfortunately, I can't remember how I harmed this plant. It was probably from putting it in the rain. This was a piece of it and it died, unfortunately. Very sad, so that's compost. I have a suspicion that most of these healthy roots belong to the alocasia and not to my scindapsus. I rather have a healthy scindapsus than alocasia, honestly. Here we go. A lot of the healthy roots do belong to the scindapsus, which is really good, but I have a feeling after going through all of this torture, essentially, they're not, oh no, they're not, this plant's not going to be doing as well as it once was. And I'm going to reuse this because this pot has a huge drainage hole. Back over here, I've only seen like this little root in here. I barely took the lid off, but it hasn't grown a new leaf. This plant grows so slowly, unfortunately. I propagated it in case this one didn't make it. There we go. That is a really small amount of roots, but it will do. Now I can use this cup for different propagations. Not too many dead roots, which is really good. I think I'm gonna keep propagating it to make a fuller and fuller plant, and this is gonna be the slowest process of making a plant longer there ever was. Okay, I decided I'm gonna stake it because it looks like it wants to grow upwards, and I want it to grow bigger leaves as it grows, and definitely not stab any of the roots. Let's see. There we go. Go. Looks a little sad, but hopefully it will look happier sooner than later. Also, by the way, this is the self-watering pot. I overfilled it way too much. But you just put it into here. It doesn't really hold that much water, honestly, but you can visibly see when it needs to be refilled and everything. I wonder if this might water too much because it's terracotta, I believe. And I put this ring for when the plant actually starts growing, to keep it hopefully intact, because this plant tends to grow a little wild. So I'm gonna try putting it back in the cabinet, but I don't know if with this pot it will fit because it's pretty tall. Okay, so for these shots, I'm gonna try to be out of the way as much as possible, but the plan right now is to see if the micans on the trellis fits, or if the frydek fits. I think these were all the plants that were in here originally, and I just organized them in here. This shelf looks way too crazy, and I don't know how I feel about it, but this shelf is completely empty. There are some plants that aren't in here yet that I would like to put in here, so I'm gonna leave this blank space for now, and I'm gonna watch over this alocasia if it likes being this close to the light. But for now, this cabinet is finally finished. Okay, that's it for this video. I feel like it was a very long one, so if you stuck through it the whole time, thank you so much. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!